Hi, I'm Megan, the Education Coordinator for Iowa City's Green Iowa AmeriCorps team, and I will be facilitating today's lesson on wetlands. So, not only is it Groundhog's Day today, but it is World Wetlands Day. Wetlands are basically any land that is saturated with water. They can be found along waterways and floodplains. Wetlands can be small with very little water or large with a lot of water. Some wetlands are permanently flooded while others are only seasonally flooded. Some may also rarely flood, but their soils remain saturated long enough to support wetland adapted plants. Wetlands can be defined as a transitional between dry land and water bodies, where the water table is usually at or near the surface, or the land is covered by shallow water. Wetlands contain special soil referred to as hydric soil. These soils develop when chemical changes take place in the soil due to low oxygen conditions associated with prolonged saturation. Different plants may be found in different types of wetlands, with each species adapted to the local hydrology, meaning how much water there is, how it is distributed, and the movement of that water. These specially adapted plants are known as hydrophytes. Wetlands have certain characteristics and must at least have one of the following. At least part of the time, the land supports mostly hydrophytes. The substrate or soil is mostly undrained hydric soil. The substrate is saturated with water or covered by shallow water at some time during the growing season. The types of wetlands are determined by the hydrology, water chemistry, soils, and plants found there. Wetlands can be fed by precipitation, runoff, or groundwater with chemistry ranging from very acidic to alkaline. There are many different types of wetlands, but I'm going to go over the ones mainly found in the Midwestern part of the United States. A sledge meadow are wetlands with permanently or near permanent saturated soils. They may form a transitional zone between marshes or other wetlands with less saturated soils, or occur in wet depressions and swales or around groundwater discharge zones. The meadows are wet grasslands often dominated by grasses with few broadleaf flowering plants. Marshes are wetlands that are permanently flooded or flooded during high water periods at the edge of rivers, streams, lakes, or ponds. Marshes may be dominated by submerged floating leaf vegetation, including cattails, pondweeds, and water lilies. Wet prairies are dominated by plants like bluestem and northern dropseed, prairie Indian plantain, and foxglove beardtongue. This ecosystem is usually intermediate in wetness and the driest type of wetland in the Midwest. Bogs are basin wetlands for which precipitation is the only source of water. They are typically not fed by groundwater or streams. Bogs are generally dominated by mosses, which may form a floating mass over deeper water that supports a rich assortment of especially adapted species. These mosses acidify the water down to a pH level as low as 3.0, which is comparable to acid rain. Bogs also have a cool microclimate, are nutrient poor, and have very low oxygen levels. Seats are typically found along the base of slopes or glacial moraines where water emerges from saturated soils or a spring. These areas are usually small and contain plants such as clairweed, jewelweed, and marsh marigold. Fens are typically alkaline from groundwater emerging from soils or bedrock zones, and they contain a layer of peat formed from dead plant material. Fens are dominated by vegetation such as grasses or beaked spiker rush. They also include trees and shrubs like willows. Swamps are wetlands dominated by woody vegetation that typically have standing water during certain times of the year. They're often found in low elevation floodplains along rivers or slow moving streams. Unlike bogs, swamps are nutrient rich. Their shallow standing water provides an important habitat for a wide variety of plants and animals like the wood duck, river otters, cottonmouth snakes, freshwater shrimp, and more. Forested swamps are dominated by water-tolerant trees such as bald cypress and tupelo. In Illinois, they are restricted to the southern reaches of the state. Shrub swamps, sometimes known as shrub wetlands, are dominated by short, shrubby species like buttonbush and alders. In Illinois, shrub swamps are typically found in the more northern portions of the state. Wetlands are an ecosystem. So, what is an ecosystem? It's a biological community or interacting organisms in their physical environment. These organisms are interconnected within a system, and in this case, a wetland. An ecosystem service is something a natural system provides that directly or indirectly benefits humans or enhances social welfare. For example, trees provide clean air and oxygen for us for free, and water bodies provide us a place for recreation. Wetlands are no different. Wetlands are vital to our environment and are considered one of the most productive habitats in the world, with an enormous amount of biodiversity. It is a cause of concern that many are disappearing because people want to build on the land. A few of the ecosystem services wetlands provide include filtering water for us by absorbing excess nutrients, sediments, and other pollutants before they reach lakes, rivers, and other water bodies. They do this by their plants, fungi, and algae, filtering water and purifying it. Cities without wetlands spend more money and more time filtering their water than cities who have wetlands within or near them. Wetlands provide storm protection by decreasing the amount of flooding and erosion. Without wetlands, flooding is worse and storm surges from hurricanes infiltrate further inland, which causes animals to be displaced or die. They also cause disruptions to our food supplies. It is estimated that over 75% of shellfish and fish harvested commercially are linked to wetlands. So, in summary, wetlands filter water, providing flood and erosion control. They are home to abundant fish and wildlife. They also provide ecosystem services to us for free. They are vitally important. The saturation of wetland soil determines the vegetation that surrounds it and the animals that live in or near it. As you can see, there are many different types of animals and plants, including tigers that live in certain wetlands, the American alligator, a bunch of different birds. So these ecosystems are really important for the environment. Thank you so much for watching this presentation on wetlands, and be sure to fill out the survey if you have any ideas on what you want to learn about next. Thank you.